Hello, welcome to Lesson 28, Symmetry and Angles. Let's start with lines of symmetry. Determine if the shape is symmetric. If yes, how many lines of symmetry does it have? Now, a line of symmetry is where you have a shape, and that line, if you were to use that line to cut that shape, both of the sides that you created would be equal to each other, or the exact same. So, let's try it out. A standard square. How many lines of symmetry does a square have? So, we can think of some of the obvious ones, right? Like right down the middle, it's going to give us two equal halves, so that's one line. We could also go that way, right? Then you'll have two equal parts in the vertical and horizontal, or excuse me, the horizontal way. But that's not it. And you might ask, what are the other ones? You can go diagonally like this, and I'll give you two triangles on this side. And you can also go diagonally the other direction. So in total, that would be four lines of symmetry. Now a circle, what about a circle? And you might be wondering, can't I cut it anywhere I want? Down, as long as it goes straight through the middle, in whatever direction or angle I do it, won't it still give me two equal halves? And the answer is you're right. So it's an infinite amount, or just anything can work. Any line through the middle will be a symmetric line. Now what about the letter A? There's only one right answer here, and that's splitting it right down the middle here. That was not a very good middle, was it? So splitting it right down the middle like that would give you two equal halves. That is the only possible combination. And for a scalene triangle, which means no equal sides, so if I were to just draw it out, maybe something like that is a scalene triangle, it is impossible to have a line of symmetry because all the sides are different. So no lines of symmetry. All right, the final section. Draw a shape that has exactly one line of symmetry. There's a couple things that work here. An isosceles triangle, where these two are equal and this isn't, that would split down to half, so that's one line of symmetry. A heart could also be down the middle, and it's one line of symmetry, and a couple others. Understanding angle rotation. Angles are parts of a 360-degree circle. That is a mistake. Circles are always 360 degrees. Solve the following. An angle that turns through 1/4 of a circle is called a blank angle. So now, again, a circle is 360 degrees. That is a full rotation. And it wants 1/4 of it, so it's going to be just a slice of it. So what does that mean? It means we're cutting 360 into just a fourth. And that is what that would look like if you were to put it in a mathematical expression. And the answer to this is 90. So this is called, well, it's not just called a 90-degree angle, right? There's a special name that these sharp angles have, and that is a right angle. Next, how many degrees is half of a circle? So again, I don't need to draw it again. A circle here is 360 degrees. What is half of that? 360 divided by 2 is 180 degrees. So that is another important one to memorize and keep in mind. If an angle measures 1 degree, how many of those angles does it take to make a full circle? This should be easy, right? We know a circle is 360 degrees. If we were to go 1 degree at a time, we would need 360 of those slices. Okay? And now an angle that measures 180 degrees is also known as a straight line. Because a straight line here, if you were to take the angle of it, would be exactly the same as half of a circle. Identify the type of angle: acute, right, obtuse, or straight. So, a quick review. Acute is an angle that is smaller than 90 degrees, so it'll look like a little cute angle, right? That's a one way to remember it. A right angle, this one should be clear. It has that very straight structural look to it. Obtuse is bigger than a right angle, so it'll look something like this. And straight is just a straight line, and this is 180 degrees. So let's get into it. 45 degrees. Is that less than, greater than, or equal to 90 degrees? It's clearly less than, so it'll be an acute. Now what about 110 degrees? That's definitely more than 90, so it'll be an obtuse angle. What about 90, greater than, equal to, or less than? 90 is equal to 90, therefore it will be a right angle. And lastly, 180. Again, we know this is a special case, and that is our straight angle, or 180 degrees. Okay, next. An angle smaller than a right angle is called, again, we reviewed it, an acute angle. We like to think of it as being cute. And an angle larger than a right angle, but smaller than a straight line, is obtuse. Now, is 180 degrees considered an obtuse angle? Yes, it is, because it's greater than 90 degrees. But it'd be more correct to call it a straight line. Alright, let's work on some word problems with angles. A right angle is split into two smaller angles. If one angle is 30 degrees, what is the measure of the other angle? So again, if one is 30 degrees, we're splitting it off from 90, so we're going to do subtraction, and that'll give us 60 degrees as our other angle. Next, angle A is 60 degrees and angle B is 45 degrees. If they are joined together, what is the total measurement? Keyword here is joined together, so that'll be 60 plus 45, and if you do the math on that, it's 105 degrees. A straight line is divided into three equal angles. How many degrees is each angle? So again, a straight angle, 180 degrees, divided into 3, right? It tells us right in the words, and that will give you 60 degrees. Okay, last question, second to last question. If you turn 90 degrees to the right, then another 90 degrees to the right, which direction are you facing compared to where you started? So again, if you're looking this way, and you turn 90 degrees, you'll look that way, and then you'll look this way again, another 90 degrees. So you did a 180 degree turn, so that means you will be facing behind your original starting point. Okay, last question, true or false? Two 45 angles put together always form a right angle. This is true because mathematically speaking, 45 plus 45 will always equal 90.